Today's Cowboys mailbag is made possible by 8 Sleep. I've always slept well. My wife has not. An 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover brings heating and cooling tech, helps keep us comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. More on them later on in today's show. It's $200 off, though, at 8sleep.com/chatsports. Super thanks to begin today's show from Gabriel Orniz. Just said Mike McCarthy. I think this was in reference to who do you blame more, the players or the coaches? Which makes sense. But even if you just do a generic super thanks, we will show you some love here on the channel. It is a feature on YouTube, allows you to donate outside of live videos. When you're watching on demand, click that thanks icon, edit your message, and send it in because we appreciate your support. And in the event that maybe we're on a loop and a super thanks comes in, we'll give you some love as well. From Robert Duran, a $20 one that came in on Monday's live show that we just happened, late in the process. People blow our losses out of proportion. We lost to the Niners twice when they could have gone to the 3 Super Bowls twice with Purdy. This year was an ugly loss, but the Packers were on and almost beat the 49ers. Too many flags and injuries. I get it. We're also Cowboys fans, so it impacts us more. The national media blows into it, but it was a bad loss. It was not a game you should have lost. And that is it's a problem when it happens every single year in different ways for this organization. From Mighty Ants, if we blow it up, you think Micah and CeeDee Lamb sign? Yes. The way that sets up is you've got multiple years of team control on both of them before they could get, fully guaranteed deals, or not fully guaranteed, but get guaranteed money in the long-term deal structure. So, and they're both, more importantly, they're both young enough that your blow-up strategy of, rebuilding for 2-ish years, whatever, still very much fits that timeline. Still very much fits it. So, yes, I'd expect them to sign Lamb this year, Micah maybe next year. I don't think they're going to do Micah this year. It's not how they tend to operate. Not opposed to it, not how they operate, though. From Jonathan, trade Dak for Justin Fields. No, for 2 reasons. A, it doesn't really fit the win now mode or the rebuild mode as far as I'm concerned. Yes, Fields is young, but you have to make a decision on him too. If you're trading for Fields, you're saying he's our guy at quarterback, and this time next year, you're giving him a similar contract if he plays well. Otherwise, you've wasted you wasted one of your asset shots on a quarterback who wasn't good enough, right? He's not better than Dak Prescott is right now, so you're going to be worse while eating a massive cap hit this year. Then you're immediately paying him next season when you already have a better quarterback in place. So if you're going to rebuild, give me the assets. Give me the draft picks. Don't make me commit to one quarterback that he's shown flashes, but he's not a top 10 guy right now like your guy is. You're kind of riding the middle ground a little bit too much. There's a path that works out, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to rebuild, I want that cheap rookie quarterback contract. I want that because it makes it a little bit easier. If you're not going to, I'm going to pay the better option. So pick a QB, DP for Dak Prescott or JF for Justin Fields. Sound off at the pinned comment of today's show. Joe Ramirez, what will the Cowboys do if we start the year 0-3? Will we regret keeping Mike McCarthy and Dak? I think every person is going to regret keeping one of those guys at some point. That's how this fan base operates, I already regret keeping Mike McCarthy. I don't think it was the right, call. I think it was a bad choice. They start 0-3. The meltdown is on. There will be, probably written by Mike Flory, an article of the Cowboys could fire Mike McCarthy and hire Bill Belichick right now. I promise you that will come up. Not going to happen, right? They'll play out McCarthy's year and then make their decision, which I think is the bad choice anyway. $20 from Brian Parson. Hey, Tom, in my opinion, Dak isn't good enough to get us over the top. He needs a lot more help. So would a rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams, if we're in the same boat anyways, I'd rather not be paying him $60 million a year. So, plan-ish here. How are you getting Caleb Williams? I don't think the Bears are trading that number 1 overall pick. Let's say they do somehow. They're probably going to ride with Fields, right? I mean, there's some weird 3-team trade in which they flip him out. It seems unlikely. You want to get that number 1 overall pick? You got to move assets you own, whether it's your own draft picks and your quarterback, whatever, or like a Micah Parsons. And it's the same thing. If your defense isn't good enough with Micah, how is it going to be better without Micah? Because your defense has real problems right now the way that year ended. So in a bubble, yeah, I think you make a strong argument about, cheap, young, rookie quarterback being a better path to win than with Dak. But the path to getting him isn't really viable right now, which is why if you want to rebuild, I would simply blow it up and tank a little bit there. Brian's got a new super chat. Let's go to that one too, by the way. He has a new one on the same topic. I just think trying to get Caleb is very tough. Brian also clarifies, my super chat was to the previous idea last show, Micah and a first. Definitely standards are the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So we're in agreement. I don't want to do this. If you run it back, it's not going to work. It's a bad idea. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Trading Micah and a first, though, is how are you going to get better around your supporting quarter cast, though? You're trading away your best assets to help out your team beyond the QB. So that's why I think if you want to rebuild, do it properly. Bottom out. Tank naturally. And don't try to shortcut it quite as hard. Now, today's show is made possible by 8 Sleep. The 8 Sleep pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed by as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees, which is great if you live in some cold weather environments. There's no better way to improve your day-to-day life than better sleep. And the easiest way to do that is the 8 Sleep Pod 3. Start the new year right and invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. In addition to keeping the perfect temperature all night long, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. So start the new year right and invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep Pod. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports to get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. That link's in the comment section and the description of today's show. From Jim Productions on Graham Barton, my comp for the Duke offensive lineman is Zach Martin. I get where you're kind of coming from, the tackle to guard convert. I think he might play center in the NFL. I'll have to look through some other fits from that perspective, but the tackle to guard angle, I get it. AJ Medell, funny thing is we know we have to pay him, meaning Dak Prescott. That's to talk about it. Pay the man. They did that for years the last time his deal was up. And they kept going, we'll pay him. I told Stephen Jones in person, hey, don't forget to pay Dak. He said, we're going to work on it. And then they forgot to. Ignored me. When it comes to these big contracts, I have to see them get done because I don't have faith in the way they tend to operate. Roy Williams, which one? Says sign Austin Ekeler. He's really good in the running and receiving game. There are a lot of running backs this year who certainly makes sense for you, who you can add probably a fairly cheap contract and make it all work out. I will say, Austin Ekeler's numbers fell off a cliff this season. They were really rough. He missed some time with injury, sure. He had 3.5 yards per carry, career low. He was a mid-4s at worst guy. Red flags. From Trevor, keep talking about Derrick Henry, but why not Saquon Barkley? Valid as well, as far as I'm concerned. And frankly, if you want to chase the explosive plays, as many teams do, Barkley actually makes more sense than Henry. They're just very different style runners, pros and cons to both of them. But if you want the home run threat, that's Barkley more than it is Henry. You just got to live with some of the unsuccessful runs that tend to come along with that. So name a free agent who you want to sign. Any player, any spot, sound off in the comments section. Mark, we overpaid Dak, a so-called elite quarterback, and what did that get us? Got you a second-team All-Pro and 12 wins. Again, it's bad teams. Everyone plays bad teams, except the bad teams, because they're themselves. You didn't overpay Dak. Generally, you did not. Now, you waited too long,
and you cost yourself money versus what you could have paid him, but that was the market rate. How can it be that other teams would have paid more? That is the market rate. He's on that top 10 highest paid list. He's 10th, and there are several quarterbacks that are worse than him. Now, if you don't ever want to pay that market rate, okay, then never pay a quarterback unless you luck into a Mahomes caliber guy. Good luck at that. You want to trade him? Sure, fine. Go get your 2 first-round picks and just be prepared to miss on that QB. The thing that also we didn't mention in our other video, you know what concerns me? This is the same team that wanted to draft Paxton Lynch and bemoaned the fact they did not get him afterwards. That would have been a nightmare because it just wouldn't have worked. Like I think there's more risk involved than maybe we want to admit sometimes. From Lance Dunbar's burner, let's pretend Gallup has any trade value, player with upside or draft pick. Either, whatever I can get. I'll take the washing machine they traded in the one basketball Will Ferrell movie. Like I don't think there's any trade value there. I think you're cutting him. If they're smart, they'll try to leak it, but that's how it goes. Like I don't think you're having any value there. Don't miss any Cowboys news, rumors, updates, and more. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. From Mark, if we dump Dak, it'll be hard to get an equal quarterback to him, as QBs are hard to come by, but those are the huge monies we will save and players added. Fair points. I will also say this. Unless, again, you are lucking into a Brock Purdy caliber quarterback of like finding one that's cheap and young, we've seen teams take this path of think of all the extra money. It is what the Falcons just did. The Falcons said, we don't want to break the bank for Lamar Jackson. We're going to ride with Desmond Ridder and build the rest of the team. The rest of the team in Atlanta is pretty good. And they fired their head coach after a year because they're like, this is just not going to work for us. We got to make changes. Now they've got Raheem Morris in there. We'll see how that goes. What you run the risk of doing is being caught in this middle ground of your team is good enough to win games and, win 6, 7, 8 games. Your quarterback's not good enough to win enough games to make the postseason consistently, and you're stuck at pick 16 every year. That's a bad spot to be in. That's why I would rather bottom out. I'd rather eat the money this year, see if Trey Lance can do it if you're going to rebuild. Because we also did the whole, we'll just save money and go do Andy Dalton stuff. It didn't work. Yeah, you had injuries and we're still playing the quarterback, but Dalton was bad for you. Because it's tough to find that quarterback. There's a fine line between you got to pay the quarterback big money and win games with it, and you can save money and go cheaper quarterback and not have it blow up in your face. It's a tough thing to do in the NFL. That's why 31 teams seasons ended heartbreak every single season. From the Electric Chicken, best case scenario, Dak ends up sitting out a game and Lance ends up lighting it up. Then Dak may want to take a better deal because he won't have as much leverage. It's not going to happen. Because the leverage for Dak does not come from the Cowboys. It comes from the rest of the NFL. It comes from all those teams who aren't going to have a quarterback next year. That are like, oh my God, let's just throw $65 million, backload it, and go win right now. If Lance can look great in the preseason, if you haven't paid Dak by then, no impact whatsoever to the leverage. From Miles, how dare you mock Junior Colson to us? You're welcome. I got you the thing you've been looking for. I got you the impact off-ball linebacker who's bigger and can stop the run and isn't a liability in coverage. Just pretend he went to Michigan State. Just pretend it's a bright green helmet and not maize and blue. That's all you have to do. I know you guys are traumatized. You're traumatized by 2 picks. You're traumatized by Taco Charlton and a year of Mozzie Smith. Come on, guys. You're better than that. Now, who do you not want the Cowboys to draft? Sound off for me in the comments section. Mark, Tom, you don't think we've been caught in the middle ground for 8 years? Let's change something. Let's see. Trey, I don't think that was worth the highest signing bonus, and he won't sign a team-friendly deal. It wasn't the highest signing bonus either. And by the way, it wasn't the highest guaranteed money, and that's what matters. Signing bonus is actually beneficial for you because you can push it off in the future more easily. I don't think you will sign a team-friendly deal. Quarterbacks don't. Mahomes did in the COVID year, which was just bad move by him. They've already redone the deal, or it's already been torn up basically. And no, honestly, you haven't been caught in the middle ground for 8 years. Every single year, this goes for the Dak Cowboys and the Tony Romo Cowboys. Man, I'm going to say, but I stand by it. You have been a contender in all of those years. It's been disappointment every time. Make no mistake. But this is not the middle ground. The middle ground was the Commanders between when Kirk Cousins first left and this year when they're finally getting a top 2 pick. That's the middle ground. One playoff spot at sub 500. This is objectively a good spot to be, but it's not good enough. And I agree you have to change something. And if you want to blow it up, that's fine with me. But I would have changed the head coach and tried to win right now. From Lance Dunbar's burner, last question here. Rather break the bank for an impact player like Chris Jones or a couple middling guys to help out everywhere? Can they be instead of middling, can they be solid? If they're solid, I'll take that path as opposed to the middling guy instead.